Today we'll be looking into what humans will look like in the world of 2050. What do you think about it? We have some questions for you. What will the world be like? Will anything change? We will answer these questions in this video. Shall we start? So let's go to the future. We'll have vaccines and cures for many diseases. While we can't know what will threaten our bodies in the future, cures and vaccines for current diseases and illnesses will surely improve by 2050. Researchers are confident that within 20 years, they can design a vaccine to stop the spread of HIV, which currently kills anywhere from 1.5 million to 2 million people per year. That's according to Martin Weselka, consultant in infectious diseases at the University Hospitals of Leicester NHS Trust. Before we move forward to the world of 2050, give a punch on the subscribe button so you would never miss a video from us. To be sure, we have troubles coming up with a traditional vaccine to prevent HIV in the past. However, scientists are making big strides in understanding how our immune system interacts with the virus. While treatment already exists for malaria, which kills 1 million people a year, many organizations are working to eradicate the disease. Some remain hopeful for a vaccine, while others go to the source by genetically engineering mosquitoes carrying the parasite to self-destruct. A better understanding of the processes behind Alzheimer's brings us closer and closer to a cure. A US vaccine already exists for meningitis, which other countries will soon adopt. As for cancer, we're making progress in treating some types. A rheumatoid arthritis drug recently cured a young child's leukemia. A modified measles vaccine put another woman's cancer into remission. Nanoparticles could even attack cancer stem cells, which cause tumors to form. Others are trying to teach the body to attack cancer directly by training the immune system with cancer vaccines. By 2050, humans could live forever as computerized brains. In the coming decades, some scientists hope to upload the contents of human brains into computers, allowing people to live forever inside a robotic body or even as a hologram. Neuroscientist Randal, Koene, and Russian financial banker Dmitry Itskov are trying to transfer human consciousness and brain functions to an artificial body by 2045 by mapping the brain, reducing its activity to computations, and reproducing those computations in code, according to Popular Science. Koene said, "This work isn't just about achieving immortality. It's about giving people the ability to go places and do things that are impossible in our own bodies, like traveling close to the sun." Even if we don't meet that goal by 2050, people alive today may still have their brains uploaded in the future. That's because other scientists are working on preserving human brains and all their contents indefinitely through immersion in chemical solutions. If we could put the brain into a state in which it does not decay, then the second step could be done 100 years later, and everyone could experience mind uploading firsthand. Scientist Kenneth Hayworth of the Brain Preservation Foundation told Popular Science, Hayworth believes scientists may discover how to preserve a mouse brain by 2050. By 2035, there will be no more poor countries, Bill Gates wrote earlier this year. By 2050, the development of countries around the world will be that much further along. Already, 700 million fewer people lived in extreme poverty in 2010 than they did in 1990. And the rate of improvement has also slowly increased since the turn of the century. Extreme poverty was defined as $1 a day in 1990, but was redefined as $1.25 a day in 2008. Today, the World Bank has set a new goal, lowering the number of people living in extreme poverty to no more than 3% of the population by 2030. Gates says increased foreign aid will play a key role in eradicating poverty on a global scale. Jeffrey D. Sachs, Special Advisor to the United Nations Secretary General, calls for a new kind of mixed capitalism to eliminate poverty, combining disease control, public education, and the promotion of new science and technology with private market forces. He points to parts of Africa, where the introduction of cell phones combined with better malaria control have slashed rural poverty. If the lagging countries can maintain a sustainable higher growth path, the global poverty ratio will fall from about 21% in 2005 to less than 2.5% in 2050. And the number of people living in absolute poverty will decline by another billion, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organizations. To be sure, the future holds threats for impoverished people in the world. Global climate change is already threatening the homes and livelihoods of people in places like Panama and a once lively fishing community in England. Time will tell whether the continued focus on eradicating poverty will outweigh the detrimental impact of climate change. The rise of artificial intelligence, AI, could generally be a good thing, assuming there isn't a Terminator scenario. While robots could replace some workers, it's important to remember that past innovations have unlocked whole new industries and new jobs along with them. The rise of AI could do the same. What's more, think how much better robots could make our world. Hans Moravec of Carnegie Mellon University's Robotics Institute predicts that by 2050, freely moving robots that outperform humans, both physically and intellectually, will run entire businesses by themselves. That could allow humans to occupy their days with a variety of social, recreational, and artistic pursuits, not unlike today's comfortable retirees or the wealthy leisure classes, he wrote in Scientific American. It could also lead to new breakthroughs as mass-produced, fully educated robot scientists working diligently, cheaply, rapidly, and increasingly effectively will ensure that most of what science knows in 2050 will have been discovered by our artificial progeny. We will have the ability to rely almost exclusively on renewable, clean energy. If the world invests enough clean energy, we will be able to rely almost entirely on renewable energy by 2050, cutting energy sector greenhouse gas emissions by 80%, according to a World Wildlife Fund (WWF) report. It is technically feasible to supply everyone on the planet in 2050 with the energy they need, with 95% of this energy coming from renewable sources. The report stresses, however, that this will only be possible if we sufficiently commit ourselves now to work toward that goal. The achievement of that goal does not demand radical changes to the way we live, according to the WWF report. The changes involve technologies already available, won't cost more than 2% of the global GDP, and take into account increases in population and travel. Solar energy, now comprising only 0.02% of the world's energy supply, could provide half of the world's electricity, half of building heating, and 15% of industrial heat and fuel in 2050, according to the report, which relies on findings from Ecofis. Wind energy, which currently supplies only 2% of the world's electricity, could provide 25% of the world's electricity by 2050. Although that requires an additional million onshore and 100,000 offshore wind turbines, they will have low environmental impact with proper planning, such as development of turbines that float on water. Other crucial sources of renewable energy will include ocean power that harnesses energy from waves and tides, biomass, which includes plant materials and animal waste, geothermal energy derived from the Earth's crust, and hydropower. Investment in all of these technologies is crucial. Combining power from all of these sources will be important in creating our clean energy future. It is 2050. We have been successful at halving emissions every decade since 2020. We are heading for a world that will be no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius warmer by 2100. Cars could be vastly safer, smarter, and cleaner. In the next decade, major car makers expect to release cars with self-driving features, such as steering, parking, gear shifting, and braking, the Milken Institute predicts. Experts say most driverless cars will operate entirely without a human occupant's control by 2035. Driverless cars will be safer because they can draft closely behind other vehicles and eliminate human error, which causes 90% of car accidents, according to the Milken Institute. In the US, driverless cars could result in 4.95 million fewer accidents, 30% fewer deaths, and 4.8 billion fewer commuting hours. They will also save Americans $500 billion per year in costs of car accidents, fuel, and lost productivity, according to the Milken Institute. In the meantime, confidence in driverless cars is growing. 57% of people worldwide and 60% of Americans trust them. Electric cars will also be widespread by 2050, a tremendous benefit for the environment. Worldwide annual production of electric vehicles will reach 7 million by 2020 and 100 million by 2050, according to Enel, Italy's largest power company. That will reduce CO2 emissions from transportation by 30% in addition to significantly reducing oil consumption. Based on what we think is worthy, subscribe to our channel Luxury Society so that you don't miss out on any future updates. If you have more about it, please feel free to share them with us. Share them in the comments below and wait for our interesting topics coming soon. If you think they deserve to be on this list, share your opinion in the comments below.